G'day everybody and welcome back to another 10 for 10.
Yes.
So today, Troy, mate, you are in the hot seat. You ready to
Mm.
go?
Yep, bring it on.
Excellent. So in this video, what we're going to do is answer the top 10 questions that Troy and I have compiled from the last week. These questions come from dealing with our clients, from our questions that come from our community across our social media channels and a range of other areas. So we look at these every week, but today Troy is going to answer these questions for us, mate. So let's just jump straight into it. You got 10 minutes to answer 10 questions.
Yep.
Let's kick it off. So number one, what are the best strategies for scaling operations while managing costs during economic uncertainty?
Yes. Well, good question. Look, I feel like it's a bit of a double question in terms of, growth, but then, managing costs. But I think ideally, you want to be picking one of the strategies and running with it. What's your primary focus right now? Is it managing costs and becoming more efficient, more effective, or is it focusing on scale and growing? So I would pick a clear strategy and then run with it. That'd be your primary one, and then secondary. So for example, if the primary focus is to grow and scale, then ideally you are putting a strategy and a structure and some systems in place to make sure that you grow and scale. And then secondary to that, you're constantly having regular meetings to manage costs, to stay on top of your KPIs, whether it's the materials you're using, the labor, to then manage those as you're going. But having that primary focus to be able to grow and capitalize on the market that you're targeting.
Yeah, cool. Okay. How can digital marketing be optimized to attract and retain customers in a competitive market?
Yes. So look, I think any form of marketing is only as good as the offer. Your offer is only as good as your actual product or service. So for me, I would be looking at what it is you offer. There's a saying, if your offer or the thing that you deliver doesn't give the owner kind of the hairs stand up on the back of their neck, then it's not good enough. So what are the commitments that you're making? What's the delivery? What's the guarantees? What's the warranties? What's the unique point of difference in your product or service? I would be focusing on making sure that is world class. And you'll see that will directly impact into your digital marketing or the way that you're communicating to the market. So I would focus on that first.
Good. Awesome. All right. What are the most effective ways for companies to foster a culture of innovation that supports continuous growth?
Yes. Look, for me, it's about having mechanisms for people to be able to speak their mind. If you have an environment where ideas and things are being shut down, then that's just not going to foster any feedback. And so what I typically see is that the owners sometimes, everything's on their plate, everything evolves around them, and I liken it to a bit of a cup. If that cup is full, any team members will come and talk to the owner or talk to the managers and go to give ideas. But if their cup's already full and they already feel constrained in time, you're not going to be able to take on the goodness of innovation or taking on new pieces of software or putting new processes in place because the cup is full and time is already constrained. So I would be focusing on freeing people up, making sure that people are really clear around what they're responsible for and having that culture where ideas are considered and put into a list, prioritized, and then hit one by one.
Cool. Okay. So what are effective strategies for small businesses to manage cash flow and ensure financial stability during growth phases?
Yeah, good question. So, like, this may not be the right answer to this, but I think what I find is the root cause to particular cash flow issues is when we walk into a business and the business typically does maybe all things to everyone. So maybe you're too diversified, whereas the thing that I'd like to do straight away is find who's making you the most amount of money in the least amount of time, that you've got a great skill set, and really targeting that. If you're selling to people that have money, you've got high margins, and you're doing more of that, you're going to have a lot more cash flow. And then you need to be less focused on having those tools to manage really tight margins. So it's not quite the answer, but I would focus on higher margin, higher profitable jobs first, and get niched down into that and do more of that.
Cool. Okay. Excellent. So, what are the best ways for small businesses to leverage partnerships and collaborations for growth?
Yeah, look, I think they say business ownership can be a bit lonely, but I think one of the best things you can do is be networking and working with people that already sell to the people that you sell to. So clearly understanding who those joint venture partners could be, setting up that network around you and consistently meeting with them, I think is ideal. So identifying who they are, setting up that network, having a consistent time and place where you can meet up, and all working together to service that particular type of customer, I think is the best way to set up joint venture partners and work together.
Okay. What are effective ways for small businesses to develop and execute a successful growth strategy with limited resources?
Hmm. Yeah, well, so look, for me, a successful strategy comes down to, what it is you're offering and who you're offering it to. If you get your strategy right, the rest you have buffer to play in terms of your structure, in terms of your people, in terms of your systems. If if you have got the wrong strategy, so for example, you're doing really low margin work, but you're not doing a lot of it, so really high volume, then you're just not going to have a lot of margin in terms of paying the right people, investing in the systems, the software, and the machinery to create that high volume. Versus if you're doing lower volume stuff, you want much higher margins so that you can invest in your people and your systems to be able to scale. So I would be getting your strategy right first, and staying disciplined on that, and then allowing your business to grow through that strategy.
Cool. Okay. So, how can businesses leverage customer segmentation to tailor marketing efforts and boost sales?
Yeah. So look, I think ideally you get to know your customer quite well, and so looking at the service that you offer, looking at who it's most appropriate for, and then being able to market to them and their needs. So is it more of an older female that would typically buy your product? Are you marketing more to men, maybe younger men? And so I think if you can really understand your product, your service, what problem that it solves, and then more specifically, who would be more likely to be able to benefit from that product faster and easier. Once you do that, you can then tailor your marketing strategies to that person. Where do they consume content? Where do they like to buy? How do they like to buy? How do they like to consume content? All of that can be tied into that.
Yeah, cool. Good. Okay. So, what are the most effective ways for small businesses to handle competition and differentiate themselves in a niche?
Sure. Look, for me, when you look at the market, so your industry, and when the market looks at your industry, what do they not like about your industry? So when someone thinks, that industry, the thing that we hate is this, and this. When they express the things that they're frustrated with, that is the best and the fastest way to differentiate yourself from your competitors. Because if you can overcome those frustrations and be great at where your industry is weak, then that's really where you're going to stand out. That's what you can double down on. And more often than not, it's not an overly complex thing. Maybe you just need to be clean. You need to clean up afterwards. Maybe you need to be on time, on budget. Maybe you need to really deliver on what it is that you promise. Like it's just what's the market frustrated with in terms of your industry, and then really double down and make sure that your business is great at that, and then communicate that to the market. I think that's how you'll stand out.
So, what strategies can small businesses employ to improve their sales funnel and increase conversion rates?
So I think the best way to increase your conversion rates and to improve your sales funnel would be to look at every single step of the process and think, how can I take the sales out of sales, and how can I make it as easy and smooth as possible for our customer or client to be able to make that decision? So, how does someone make a decision? They really need to educate themselves on the problem. They need to understand the solution and then understand that you can provide that solution and you're the best at it. And so what I find when I look at someone's sales funnel or sales workflow, there is just a lack of education. And if there is education, it's coming from you or someone's mouth. Whereas if you implement assets throughout your sales workflow, PDFs, videos, education, if someone watches it and reads it, they're going to believe that more and understand that more than coming from a salesperson's mouth. So I would be looking at your workflow and adding in as much education as possible around who you are, the problems you solve, and how you solve it.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, thank you very much for that, Troy. There's a lot of expertise and gold nuggets in there for people to be able to take away and utilize for themselves. But if you are loving this content, if you are someone that has a lot of questions that you want answered for yourself, make sure you click the link below or join our Frustration of Freedom community online. Check us out on our socials. On Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the other places that people typically are, Troy. So make sure you check us out, come and find us, give us your questions, and hopefully we'll be answering that one for you on here in the coming weeks. But Troy, thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it. Great work, and we'll be back at this again next week.
Done. Thank you. See ya.
Cheers, mate. Bye.